بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم لك الحمد كما أنت أهله فصل وسلم على سيدنا محمد كما أنت أهله وفعل بنا كما أنت أهله فإنك أهل التقوى وأهل المغفرة اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعذنا من شرور أنفسنا. Over the last few days when we were having this program, we read a little bit from a kitab called Saviors of the Islamic Spirit. And in the last 2 days we spoke about how to become Allah's and to fly to be the falcon of the era. So normally a person, everyone wants to be. Who doesn't want to be the star? But there's always some barrier pushing us back. But you say, no matter how much I'm trying to push it away, it's just not moving. No one says I enjoy the life I am in. But sometimes when that barrier is very big, that it has blocked my entire path, and I just see that where I am stuck in, it seems I'll never get out. Allah's Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would hardly mention long waqiyat. His ahadith were very, very short, so that Sahaba radiallahu anhu can memorize. There were few times that he gave, and those few ahadith are recorded in separate books also, that the few long incidents. When he would give a long incident, in every line of that incident there would be some message, because there was no wastage in his life. Allah's Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at one occasion spoke about a rainy night. So the night is lovely for this. He said, انطلق ثلاثة نفر ممن كان قبلكم. That it was in the past. And in many narrations he would always say that if something had happened in the past, it definitely can happen in my ummah. Both ways. When he spoke about evil, he said, you will follow the ways of the people before you, like how one shoe is placed on that sole to get a direct fit. They have cut out first the first pattern. And then they say, make all according to this pattern. He said, how the other one is placed on what is called the original cut, to get an ideal exact fit. He said, you will walk on this step by step, to such an extent that if in the people of the past, Allah save us all, if in the people of the past there was an individual who went to his mother and openly committed, he said, in my ummah there will be that individual also. One extreme. And on the other extreme, he said, indeed in the people of the past there were those that were blessed with ilham, inspiration from Allah. And then he said, in my ummah, if there is here, you will see Umar is one. Radiyallahu anh. What he will mention in this narration was to show if it could do a miracle for the people of the past. There are 3 actions if we can get it to some extent. So he says 3 people on a rainy night were out. And because of the rain, آواهم المبيت إلى الغار, that they felt that the best will be, instead of walking and getting knocked with lightning, rather take protection in a cave. فانحدرت صخرة فسدت وجه الغار, and a boulder from on top fell. And the door of that cave was closed, shut. And how much they tried to push it out of the way, it was not going to go. A lesson from the first part of the narration is sometimes me and you are in a lot of problems. So why we are in a rainy day, rainy night, and we're scared I'm going to get knocked with one bolt from above. So we decide to take protection from Allah, meaning running from Allah, and we look at creation to save us. We said, I don't want to get knocked with lightning. Lightning comes from above. So So let me go in my cave. So the very thing they went searching for protection, what now became the cause of their destruction. Because if they were out, maybe the lightning would not have hit them. But now they were stuck. At times we run into the problem. When we are in a little depression, the heart broke for some reason, then it's weed. I need to smoke it out. Into the cave. When I never got the mark, I need to make my father and mother understand that because they never looked after me like a parent, they never felt the pain I'm going through. They were hard and they were evil. They always fought amongst themselves. It affected my mind. We are living in a world at the moment where it has been taught to every boy and girl, learn to blame. So we will always look for someone around us who I can blame, just to run away from the problem. Once I found the target, then level 2 is now to take revenge. But we're living in a world that the very one who you want to take revenge against, he is so dumb and dull that even if you write on your bedroom your poems of love, he'll walk past it and he won't see it. And even if he sees it, he say, who wrote the stupid poems? In the world, the one you want to feel your pain, they are the last to feel your pain. Last. So then as that revenge feeling starts growing, there are those people who said we were molested when we were small. And then when they got big, they raped so many people. Raped and killed. Yes, what you got out of it? He said, I needed to make you feel the pain I went through. He said, but these people never do it to you. The one who did it is already dead. But when revenge comes, the person himself doesn't think. I want you to feel my pain. I went to those places, those bridges where on one side is the phone, other side is the phone. The reason of the two phones on a bridge is because that is a bridge which people normally come and they decide to jump. So at least there's a phone there. Sometimes they think, okay, let me make a phone call. And it's only got one line. As soon as you pick up that phone, it's already linked to what is called helpline. And that person then starts talking. That how are you? What's wrong? It was a while ago in Turkey, one person was there. And he wanted to jump. And of all people, who went to go speak to him? The president of Turkey. He stopped and he got off. And everyone had to wait. And he sat and he sat and he sat and then he brought him back. But when you one day standing on that mountain or that bridge, then look around, you're not going to find South Africa's president coming. Either he'll be in jail at that time or he'll be partying. At that time you look at one phone call, another phone call. So you saw the letters they write on that bridge. Because the last letter to their mother is written there. When you will see that letter or that lines, it is to tell the mother, I want you to feel my pain. So I am jumping so that tomorrow for once in your life you can cry. Because you never cried for me. Now whether the mother cried or not, I don't know after that. But I know one thing, you will see that someone did come there when they realized that this was the place. And they put one flower there to show, I really loved you. And that flower is dead. Meaning after that, the mother never came back to even water that flower. To say, my son, even if I cry, I only got one day to cry for you. First day I'll come to your qabr. Some people go lot to the qabr. You will see a man whose wife passes away. One person, he lived very close to the qabristan. So every day after Fajr, till Ishraq, he would be at his wife's grave reading for her. Reading. So I asked my friend, till when? He said, until he got married. You know, I told him, now I did enough, no? I'll read from the house. No. He wasn't going home. What he wasn't doing at the house? He had to go qabr. No one got time for you, and even if you show the whole world, I want you to feel my pain. You will find some people, they like to be unique, funny, different. Just because no one is noticing them because they're normal. So they feel if I become abnormal, I'll be noticed. So just to be noticed, they will do the most unique. Some of it is what they call, they will just go and kill people. That's the worst. And they want to get caught. And they want to stand in the court. And everyone is looking at them, how could you do it? They're happy. Finally I was noticed. Some are that's like bloody. And some are the opposite, you call it dirty. They in the toilet. They take their ink and they write their name. I was here. What they get out of it, I still can't understand that the worst place for someone to think about you is when he sits in the toilet. And he looks up and he says, who's this idiot? But what a place you wanted to be remembered. But he has to be known. When we forgot that we were created to entertain our Allah. And we began looking for appreciation in everyone besides Allah. Then the whole world kicked us in the behind. The one who said, I have been born and I will die for my Allah, even if he's in a room, locked up, all alone for 20 years, if they take him out, they will take him out smiling still. In the darkest of rooms, he will find his Creator with him. Those that they locked up, one reason of locking a person is called mental torture. That they will lock you up without a case for about 7 years, 8 years. But they put you in one cell all alone, all alone. So that you can't talk with anyone. And what they understand is after 1 or 2 years, that person becomes a nut. So even if they take him out then and you bring him for the court case, which they said it's still going to be held. When he comes, even if they say, oh, you guilty, or you innocent, whatever they say, that person is already a wreck. But whenever they put the people of Iman in those cells, the recent president of Egypt, Muhammad Mursi, rahimahullah, they put him in that cell. He asked only for one thing, the president of the country in jail. He said, I want a Quran. They understood that if he got a Quran, he will never be lonely. So they would not give him that Quran. So one statement he said is, that you can keep the Mus'haf, the Quran, the Mus'haf away from me, but you can't keep me away from the Quran in my heart. Hafiz Muhammad Mursi. He came out after that for his court case. They would have wanted after so many months or years in that cold and dark, all alone, when you will come out, you are wrecked. When he came out, he was so strong, he said, I don't need a lawyer, he could have represented himself. And if you want to ask, ask. They would not understand how a man could keep his mind in such a condition. But the one who comes to entertain Allah, even in the darkest of worlds, Allah will keep him company. But me and you went looking for the world's entertainment. The girl said, my boy, he'll keep me. The boy said, the girl, she warms my heart. Whenever there was a problem, you just see they went looking for love. Sometimes they found it by someone they never knew who that one is. They sent a message. The beginning they thought it was she sent a message. It was a hi, it was a hi, it was a bye, it was a bye, and they just carried on. And that one lived on his emotions, worked on it, and he said, the way you make me feel, the way you make me happy, all my depression and everything, this is my life. Finally he said, I want to meet you. And then there was one place at a certain mall we will meet, and when he landed up there, she wasn't she, it was he, making hair. Shock of his life. She wasn't she. the whole lie opens up. That boulder fell and they tried to push it. Weed, you can try how much you want to. It will make you feel it's moving, the rock is moving. You just start saying, it's going. And then you just see it comes even more harder in your face. That's what drugs does. That's what weed does. That's what porn does. That's what messages does. You think you're going to get out of the cave. You're running away from Allah. Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, one son. His wife, he understood she was not with him, one wife, so he left her. But from his sons, 4 sons, he thought all are with him, but one was not with. He would see that one being with the disbelievers, but he never knew him to be a disbeliever. And Allah had told him that your family of Iman must come with you in the boat. So he sees 3 inside and he says, oh my son, irkab ma'ana. That what are you doing there? Come onto the boat. The son said, Sa'awi ila jabali ya'simuni min al-ma. I will take my protection in the high mountain. It will save me from the water. قَالَ لَا عَاصِمَ الْيَوْمِ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. Say that today from the decision of Allah, none will be saved, except who Allah says you can be saved. وَحَالَ بَيْنَهُمَا الْمَوْجِ. As he was still climbing, Nuh alayhi salam just saw that wave came. You cannot run away from Allah except back to Allah. So after they pushed, then they sat down and they said, they said, إِنَّهُ لَا يُنْجِينَا مِنْ هَذَا وَإِنَّهُ لَا يُنْجِيكُم مِّنْ هَذِهِ الصَّخْرَةِ إِلَّا أَن تَدْعُوا اللَّهَ بِصَالِحِ أَعْمَالِكُمْ. Nothing is going to save you from this boulder unless you make dua to Allah and you mention one of the good deeds you had done previously. 3 deeds are going to be mentioned. The collection of the 3 deeds created a miracle that the biggest of boulders, unmovable. On account of the collection of 3, Allah said, out of the way. And they kharajat in the morning, they could come out and go at ease home. If you are looking to be the falcon in the sky, if you are looking to be Allah selected, if you are looking to come out of problems, if you are saying, I don't know whether I'll be wealthy in the future, if you are worried that the economic situation of the country is not good, whatever your fear is, you in a cave. 3 actions if you can get. The action has an intiha. Intiha means that is the height of the action. We will never reach that height. It was too high. However amount we get, that's the amount of strength with which our problems are going to go. Make an intention that Allah, 3 are going to be mentioned. If you can make me the master of all 3. It is 3 actions. If I can master it and you can master it, whenever in life you will find a problem, you will perhaps not find the problem. But if ever that massive boulder even comes, you will just say, Allah, because of this, and this, remove it from me. And if it happened to the people of the past, we have hope in Allah, it will happen to us. The first is going to be mentioned in this one and the other 2 will mention in the next program. From the beginning have an intention, Allah, no matter how hard it is, I am asking you that if you could give it to that man, and he was not of this ummah, then why can't you give it to me? The heading of the first one is, to be such a child to your parents. To be such a child to your parents, that even if they don't want to, the dua has to come out. To be such a child to your parents, that even if they don't want to, the dua has to come out. And if you have such a parent, that you do the world for him, and still he doesn't make one dua, then you understand I have done my job, my boulder is going to go, he can carry on what he wants. So the first one said, Allah, I had mother and father, they had reached an old age. I would go out in the morning with my animals, come in the evening, milk, take it home. I had a habit, I would not feed my family until mommy and daddy had had their meal. On a certain day, my animals went too far. I got late coming home. I milked the animals and I came in and I found them sleeping. It was my habit that you all will eat first, then my children. So I entered with the glass, وَالْقَدْحُ عَلَى يَدِي أَنْتَظِرُ إِسْتِيقَاظَهُمَا. I stood there waiting that I'm sure in 5 minutes he's going to wake up. Like how sometimes you just say, and you're hoping he'll wake up. Not waking up that father. He must make a, father will snore louder. And he's waiting. وَالصِّبْيَةُ يَتَضَاغَوْنَ عِنْدَ قَدَمَيَّ. Children are masters. Children understood if you can't wake them up, we'll scream. He said, at my legs, my children were just making that. And I'm just telling them, they were making there. They were trying to get those parents up, but those parents were not waking up. He must have moved his children. Children are children. They'll tell you straight on your face what you want. What you never thought you want to hear, the child is so innocent. The child is so innocent. The mother makes a dish, it never come out right. Husband, he will eat it, he'll just keep quiet. Child will say, yuck, what's this? That's the child. Child don't worry about anyone. Child. They cried. You know how hard it is, your children are crying at your feet. He says, my principle is, I will wait for them to wake up. Then you have one hope that the day they wake up, the morning they wake up and say, my son, how long you stayed waiting for me? And dua after dua, dua after dua. The children are hungry, why you did that? You shouldn't have done that. So much of effort. He said, they woke up, they took the glass, they drank it, and like nothing happened. They never asked, how long were you here? Perhaps they told him, where you came so late last night. That's how parents are. When they get old, perhaps they don't know the daughter-in-law spent the whole night making something. Just so mother-in-law the next day doesn't have to cook. Whole night she makes it. But mother-in-law that day is not in a mood. So the next day they take that dish, and just when she brings it, that woman says, what I must do with so much food? Go place in the fridge. That girl thinks that whole night I sat up. No one will ever feel the pain we go through except our Allah. So if you're going to worry about why he never saw what I did, why he never saw how I worked, sometimes it happened, 2 women had to make the meal. Eid is coming, you'll learn a lesson from this. 2 women had to make a meal. Because normally in Eid you get the get together, isn't it? The one poor auntie did majority, and the other auntie only made 1 dish. For whatever reason, one wasn't well, one was. The pious person who sat, because he wasn't too hungry, he only ate 1 thing, thinking that everything was made by the same person. But he only ate 1 thing. So like a clever, he wanted to thank now the food. So he said, Jazakallah, so much, the fish was delicious. And the auntie only made the fish. The other one was like, they were behind the door obviously. Lucky they were behind the door. The other one must have wondered, what, all my food, all my effort. And she came with the 1 fish. He's praised. He only ate that fish. He never knew there was anything else. You learn one thing, don't be loud in praising. You rather make your dua, say Allah reward them all and go nicely, quietly. Don't talk too much. That woman, how she feels, so much of effort. And you just brushed my food aside. Only the fish you saw. Only Allah sees what we go through. No one but Allah. He said, Allah, they just woke up. They drank. Finished. Then he said, Allah, Allahumma in kunta ta'lamu anni fa'altu hadha ibtigha'a wajhik. Allah, if you know, because they never knew. They never make any dua for him. They never said, my son, Allah, open your roads. Give you milk from the heavens. They never said nothing. Parents, when they get old, you will only understand what they are when you get old. And your son says, he's losing it again. Then you'll remember that, hey, my father I said same thing about my father. Losing it. Quran called it Ardhalil Umr. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I seek your protection, Allah, from an age where we go backwards. Meaning a time will come where I'm going to become like a child. Problem is when you are a real child, whatever nonsense you do is called the nonsense of a child. And everyone says, how cute. And you do the same thing when you get old. They say, he's acting like a child. Tell him to grow up. But he can't help it. He is now forgetting. So he'll ask sometimes something and the young boys will just want to laugh like. But he doesn't intend making a joke. It's him now. He can't remember. He's getting old. When the child messed, the mother changed the napkin so well and she even kissed that bum a little bit. She said it smells so nice after she cleaned it, obviously. But when the old uncle messes, his beloved wife does clean it. But her face, she'll never ever, after cleaning it, give one kiss. I can tell you that. That she will not do. She will tell him, next time go faster to the toilet, man. That's how it is. Why? He said, I seek your protection, Allah, from that age. So the father and the mother are going to become like that. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala, unique Quran is. When He told us to be obedient to the parents, immediately we were going to say, but you don't know my parents. They just eat me up from within. I burn in anger. So Almighty Allah's advice to man was, وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. That I am not asking you to be nice to them because they are your parents. I'm asking you to have mercy on them. You know the meaning of mercy? When there was a disaster, then you say, have a merciful heart and go help those people. Mercy means when that person is now flat. Allah said, in mercy I am asking you to drop your wing over them. The wing is called the wing of the bird. The mother bird lifts up her wing so that the baby can stay under. Almighty Allah said, they are going to be like babies. You will have to now behave like the mother bird. That baby under that wing does funny things. Sometimes he even pecks the mother. But the mother as a mother just keeps her wings. She says, my child. Quran is unique. Allah said, oh child, you become the mother bird for your parents. That they have become like a child again. Don't treat them like a parent. Understand, you like a child. But my Allah said, I must behave like a parent. That's the meaning of that last part of this ayat. وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي. Allah, when I was small, how they saw to me, Allah, you look after them. Meaning, remind yourself, if you say like a child, then it said to you, then you be like the parents. Because once upon a time when you were a child, they were the parent. So just you reverse the role. You will have to lift up that wing. You will have to take them under. Allah, make it on this night, whoever is sitting, whoever is listening, no matter what happens in our life, no matter how mean, how rude, how irritating our parents become, we will do one thing: never dump them in somebody else's care. And say, once a year I'll bring one cake for you. We don't have to stay with them all the time. Our wife, if she can't stand the mother, doesn't have to be in the same house. But we will not dump them. We will see that this is my door to paradise. If I go and open this door nicely, I don't break it, every boulder of mine will go out. رَبُّكُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا فِي نُفُوسِكُمْ. Allah says, don't worry of your inside. We know your inside. He said, Allah knows your inside. Meaning if my inside, I'm saying, I don't know when they're going to pass away. Everyone died in COVID, they're still alive. That COVID here was the house. They can go straight to Jannah now. But they never passed away. Allah says, we know what's in your inside. And we are not responsible for our inside. Allah will not take us to task for our inside. In takunu salihina. It is said, if you behave good, فَإِنَّهُ كَانَ لِلْأَوَّابِينَ غَفُورًا. Then Allah will forgive this inside feeling. You will not be taken to task for it. Because my hand is in my control, with which I sign. Will I sign a check that take my parents from here and put them in that old age, and I'll pay for it? Or will I sign another check and say, I will build a small house near to my house, and I will pay for a worker, and I daily will go see if everything is okay. I will bring the old age to them. Why must I send them to the old age? I will bring them close to me, and if I myself cannot look directly after them, I will put someone to look after. What is the principle? When you were a child, how they behaved. When you were a child, very few parents sent you to a young age home. And they said, once a year I'll come visit my son, and say, you're getting so big, here's your next napkins for the next year. Yes, there are those parents who said, we're so busy. So they got another helper in the house to look after the child. Not the best, but they still did it in the same house. That in the morning I want to see my child. In the evening I want to see my child. I can't trust you with my child. Because you got no feelings, you just want money. If you cannot look after your parents yourself, then behave like a parent. You will bring them close to you. You will put someone in charge of them. And you will visit them in and out. Just to see they're comfortable. And the boulder in your life will never remain there. رَبُّكُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا فِي نُفُوسِكُمْ. Allah says, your inside, that we know. Don't worry about that. We know, but what's your tongue? On your tongue must not be وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, your tongue is in your control. With your tongue, even if you're burning with anger, and your mother said something to your wife which broke her heart, and now you say, this is the final straw, I'm fed up with that woman. And as you start walking, then your Allah has said to you, don't even say uff. I know what's in your inside. And I will give you the world. And your wife will get the world. But don't use your tongue, because your tongue is in your control. Don't say uff. Although inside you got a lot of uff. How easy it was made. It was never said your inside must overlook everything. It's very hard. Everyone says, we don't know my parents. So another Quranic verse, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. You'll have to understand again Arabic to get this. Qada means the decision has been made by the judge. Hardly Allah calls himself a judge. Allah is the king. But in this verse, Allah says the judge has spoken. What was the issue? The issue was the child, whether it's daughter or son. They were the complainant, whatever you call it. And the other party, the defendant, was the mother or the father, the parent. The child brought a complaint against the parent in front of Allah. This is the court case that's taking place in this ayat. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ. The decision of the judge is being stated today. When a court case takes place, what happens? You got your chance to mention all your stories. So you came and in front of Allah, you put it all front. When I was getting married, my mother told me this is the girl. And so many presents she gave and so much dua she gave. And just after I got married, then my mother just turned like. Now every time we go, she don't want to see my wife. She says, why you came in the family? She was the one said, go get her. Everything. Normally we tell all that to the poor Moulana. We don't know the Moulana's got the same problem. He's looking for someone to tell also. Thus Allah said, I heard it all. I'm the judge listening. Tell me all your stories. And it was all said. All said. And the unique thing of the judge, Allah, is He's the only judge who can even feel the pain I went through. That when my parents were like this to me, you know, when I was small, they were so busy in the shops, they had no time for me. When I needed them, they were never there. They just bought some burger from Steers and said, you have it for supper. Then when the weekend came, they were tired. They said, the work is too much, so they went out alone. I heard they're going for Umrah. I said, Daddy, what about me? He said, yeah, you go to the granny's house. I just want to go there and worship Allah. I need rest. And the child said, what you trying to say? I'm the problem. The business is the problem. You never saw your child. So you said, I need rest from the business. But you said, the child, you just go play with your cousins. Sometimes he burns. He doesn't say anything. He just burns. No one will feel it, even a normal judge. Allah is that judge who says, I got all your feelings also. It's all put on a gauge and it's going up and down, everything. And then the parent is told, now you talk now. Now you talk. And the father will give his own story. Whether you like it or not, mother will give her story. Say, you know, my son, I got him married, I had hopes. And then he got married, he hardly comes. I tell him phone once a week. Sometimes he forgets that phone call. And when he does phone, he say, how are you? Things are okay. Assalamu alaikum. And when you ask the boy or the girl, like, why don't you talk? He say, what must talk about? Every week, same story. Say, oh, okay, nice. That person don't want to talk anymore. So everyone gave the story. The mother gave the story. The father gave the story. And you gave your story. What a court case. Where you had the chance to mention your story. And then the decision is now going to be heard tomorrow. And everyone comes to hear what did the judge say. Look at the beauty of Quran. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ. The judge has spoken. Decision number 1. That your job is to worship your Allah. And in worshipping your Allah, it means obedience. So that part we all said, definitely you the judge. After your judgment, I'm not going to stand up and throw the whole court case. So the first judgment was you worship Allah. Everyone said yes. That whatever you say, Mr. Judge, I will not say no way. And then came the judgment, and it comes like lightning. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. That the judge says, I want you to behave nicely with your parents. And go. Unique this. So under this verse comes this incident which Imam Qurtubi narrated. That the son came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he complained that my father, he's always pulling from my money. Always. So is it allowed for him? The real masala not allowed. Understand that nicely, because you got some parents who hear this. And after that you'll see tomorrow that whole account is gone. Say, go listen to that bayan, 9:27 on the dot. The masala was already given that he can't do that. That is why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, go and call your father. But what had happened was the father wasn't taking so much, like how the son exaggerated. That's why when he came, he said, ask him, I'm only spending on me, on my family, my wife, and most likely it was his aunt, meaning his sister maybe. It wasn't I was extravagant. Where am I going to get the money from? But when the father was called, you get like worried. I'm being called in a big court. So in shivering, as he was going, he started reading poems. Arabs are like that. Poetry was part of their tongue. They never have to sit down with their phone and start typing. So their mind was poetry. Like whenever they had a problem, immediately poetry could carry on for hours. So as he walked, the poetry came out. When he came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, like, what he is saying, why are you doing that? So he said, ask him whose money I take, how much I take. And then Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, so recite to me those words you read as you came to me. And the Sahabi said, Wallah, every day you speak, O Rasulullah, my iman increases even more. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, besides these ears, no one had heard my words except Allah. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Jibreel alayhi salam came to tell me, I must tell you, repeat it. Now feel the pain in these words. غَذَوْتُكَ مَوْلُودًا وَمُنْتُكَ يَافِعًا. When you were a baby, I was feeding you. And as you were growing up, I was showering you with favors. تُعَلُّ بِمَا أَجْنِي عَلَيْكَ وَتَنْهَلُ. And I used to pluck the fruits and you used to just enjoy and grow up. I had to go daily into the work and take out the reap, the profits. And you would just enjoy your fun. You were driving your beach bakkie. You were on your bicycle. Every time your friend got something new, you said, Daddy, what about this? So I just carried on plucking and you carried on eating. I would come home, I would see the dish is empty. Because sometimes you'll see a child, they're very hungry. So as soon as they put the platter, the child will say, I want the leg. The father won't talk. Take the leg. The daughter will say, I want that piece. And then finally, whatever is not taken, then the mother or the father will just take that and they'll eat. That is the parents. So he said, I plucked and you ate. إِذَا لَيْلَةً ضَافَتْكَ بِالسُّقْمِ لَمْ أَبِتْ. Again, yeah, if you only know Arabic. He said, and when that night sickness came to visit you as your guest, إِذَا لَيْلَةً ضَافَتْكَ بِالسُّقْمِ. On that night when sickness was your guest, not my guest. لَمْ أَبِتْ لِسُقْمِكَ إِلَّا سَاهِرًا أَتَمَلْمَلُ. Your guest it was sickness. He said, but I stayed awake for your guest. I passed the night wide awake, أَتَمَلْمَلُ, shaking from side to side. Just listening, he coughed again, is he okay? And then I'm just turning this way and he heard again, and I say, Allah, make my son better. Allah, make my son better. Make my daughter better. You slept away, it was your guest. But when your guest came as sickness, I stayed awake for your guest. Turning around at night, wide awake. كَأَنَّنِي أَنَا الْمَتْرُوكُ دُونَكَ بِالَّذِي طُرِقْتَ بِهِ دُونِي فَعَيْنَايَ تَمْهُلُ. He said, if you had seen it, you would have thought, I'm the one that's sick, not you. كَأَنَّنِي أَنَا الْمَتْرُوكُ دُونَكَ بِالَّذِي طُرِقْتَ بِهِ. It seemed in that house that I had been afflicted with the sickness which you had. Because you were fast asleep and I was awake. I gave you that panado and you were gone. And I stayed awake. فَعَيْنَايَ تَمْهُلُ. And while awake I was crying. I was just every time saying, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. تخاف الردى نفسي عليك وإنها لتعلم أن الموت وقت مؤجل. He said, as I was looking at you sleeping, my inside was in fear that what if my son or daughter passes away tonight? تخاف الردى نفسي عليك وإنها. I also knew أن الموت وقت مؤجل. The time of death is written by Allah. But it was my love that even though I knew that when death comes, it has to come. But in that love, I just spent the whole night in that worry. فَلَمَّا بَلَغْتَ السِّنَّةَ وَالْغَايَةَ الَّتِي إِلَيْهَا مَدَى مَا فِيكَ كُنْتُ أُؤَمِّلُ. He said, and then when you reach that age, which for years I waited for, when you reach that age, which for years I had waited for, that he will get big, he will take over, he will do. When you reach that age, which for years I had waited for, جعلت جزائي غلظة وفظاظة كأنك أنت المنعم المتفضل. He said it was time for payback, but you paid me back with harshness, with hard words, with the ugly face. It said it seemed as though until today you were showering favors upon me and now you were fed up. He said until today it was me giving you. And when the time came where I thought it's time for payback, I only saw an ugly face. كَأَنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْمُنْعِمُ الْمُتَفَضِّلُ. As though you were showering favors on me. فَلَيْتَكَ إِذْ لَمْ تَرْعَ حَقَّ أُبُوَّتِي. He said, hi, oh my son or oh my daughter, if you cannot treat me like a father, فَعَلْتَ كَمَا الْجَارُ الْمُجَاوِرُ يَفْعَلُ. فَعَلْتَ كَمَا الْجَارُ الْمُجَاوِرُ يَفْعَلُ. Then the least I can ask you is treat me like a neighbor. If you cannot treat me like a father, then at least like how a neighbor says, I don't think there's food in the house next door, why don't you send some? So I only ask you, treat me like a neighbor. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam cheered. And then he held that young Sahabi, the son. And that's when he said those unique words. He said, Anta wa ma'aluka li abika. You and your wealth belongs to your father. Cool. Meaning it's not right for your father to take it all. But you have to understand, you have to behave like a parent. May Allah make me that child, may Allah make you that child. It is not the easiest of exam, but if you can play the part, the biggest of boulders if it falls in your path, you can lift up your hand and say, Allah, for what I had done for my parents, this man did it one night, where he had to stay awake the whole night. And it removed the boulders of his life. May Allah give it to all of us. It is a thing to make dua, that Allah, can you make me that unique child? Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.